FFIE overshot our support bottom by a few points, but the support bottom that we actually did find may not be random. Let's go ahead and find out exactly what I mean by that in this video. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with an FFIE, technicals, and raw price action thread of analysis. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining us in the trading group called ARCa in Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the charts. Okay, so we are looking at FFIE in the 4-hour chart right here, and we were actually talking about a descending channel being potentially the reversal signal for the long shot in FFIE. This can potentially take weeks for us to realize since we are in the 4-hour chart, and you can see that we are making these small candles that are each 4 hours long. Now, yesterday's implied price objective was actually for us to come back and test our support bottom of the channel. You can see that we actually missed it by a couple points or a few points down to this level here. And I suspect that there is a reason why we touched this lower level here. Well, we can actually speculate on a couple of them. So now let's look at, first of all, an inverse fib, just to see if we do have anything in confluence from this point to this point right over here. And see what we have. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now you can see that with an inverse fib, and I apologize for not catching this yesterday, but it's very hard to catch it when you don't have the additional information for the next trading day, which was today. So with an inverse fib, we can see that right at the 1.618 is where the price action stopped today. Now we have the support now from our golden mean, which is usually the point where we like to take the trade to. Another thing is that if we now adjust or delete our descending channel, you're going to be able to see something different. So doing this now gives us a broadening descending wedge. The broadening descending wedge is also a bullish trend reversal signal by nature. And you can see right down here that we have multiple touches of the support, and we used it today as well as that point of support, which is why I'm talking about this support not being random and also facing the 1.618. It just shows us further confluence within the price action for today. This is, I mean, we've been facing massive sell-off on FFIE for some time now. There are a couple signals that we do need to go over because this can potentially be now corrective towards the upside. And the reason I can say that is because usually after speaking of the golden rule of three, which is something that we usually talk about within this channel and also within the Discord, for the strategies that we follow. The golden rule of three consists of 3 tests of the resistance: 1, 2, and 3. Usually the third test of the resistance is followed by the largest capitulation event or an accumulation of sorts. And the third test is also the signal for short sellers or people who want to play long puts to open up their positions at around this area here for a large take profit down here. Okay, so excuse me, you guys, just a sec. Okay, so that is essentially what happened and what's happening currently. So we could potentially be looking at the floor here. And it's hard to time the markets. It's hard to time the floor in assets, especially when you're looking at its history, never having any price action back here whatsoever. So it's hard for us to especially systematic traders like me, it's hard for me to be able to see the future without any past. So we need to study our predecessors, and we need to study our historical figures in order for us to know where we're going, right? So in this case, since there's no historical price action in these low areas, we and today was actually another 52-week low. So it's hard to do this, but now we are looking at this potential reversal signal right over here, which is the greatest thing that could have happened. So now I want to be able to load another chart regarding FFIE. So let's go ahead and pull up the statistical side of the analysis for FFIE. We'll go ahead and return to this if we do have some more to touch on it. But I want to be able to, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open up the RSI as well. And that's going to be an important one for us to evaluate. Okay, so this is going to be the statistical side of the analysis for FFIE. We're looking at it also in the 4-hour chart. Now, new viewers, new listeners, what you're looking at is volatility here represented by this indicator BBWP. It is direction neutral. Volatility is entirely direction neutral because, you know, we can be volatile towards the downside or the upside. We pair it with a stochastic momentum so that we can be able to gauge that bias for direction. Now, the back test that I performed on this is actually throughout the entire trading history of FFIE since the beginning of its of the public trading of the asset, right? So we're looking at let's see, at about July 2021. So the back test criteria was for us to look at any time that we have expanded into critical zones, which I consider to be anything above this 90% line, and started a contraction phase towards the downside from these critical highs. So now we made a volatility versus momentum profile in this back test. So we, from the iteration, we are actually, let me just go ahead and just get a little more visibility here for us. I am measuring the duration of the iteration, the upside thrust of the iteration versus how many times the volatility versus momentum profile guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. Okay, so the statistical metrics that we got are statistics and they are not certainties. Please remember that, you guys, okay? Please remember that we are talking about statistics. Okay, so out of a total 11 iterations from the entire trading history of FFIE, we have a total 7 correctly guessed to the upside. That gives us an averaged upside accuracy of 63.63% with an averaged upside thrust of 28.998% over the span of 7.5 days. This is proof of work. Okay, so now the criteria to be met for us to be able to apply this, the upside thrust, is this. We need both of the volatility component, which is this spectrum line, and the moving average of the BBWP, both in a contraction phase. So we need them both pivoted towards the downside. Okay, now if we zoom in and take a look, we can see that the moving average is now starting to make its downside pivot. And you can see that the bars are starting to print lower here. And these bars represent a 4-hour read since we're in the 4-hour chart. A 4-hour read within critical volatility buildup. Okay, so the longer we stay up here, the more volatility we're going to be experiencing. Alongside, this criteria here, alongside the stochastic momentum pivoted towards the upside, in this manner. So we need the the stochastic momentum signal line and the moving average both pivoted towards the upside alongside both of these metrics to the downside. Okay, so this is how we can be able to create contraction versus expansion move, and that can give us an upside trajectory. So the price objective based on that criteria being met, which is pretty much now-ish, it's starting to make its turn to the upside now, so we can actually apply this metric now. We can see us testing the 1.618 at about 46 cents, 46.19 to be exact, sorry. And that is measured from the firing of the signal, which is right over here. Okay, so we can see, let's see if we have any moving averages around that area too to take into account. Let's see the EMAs. Okay, we do actually. We do have resistance by the 50-day moving average. Actually, that would be the, let's see. Yes, this is the 30-day exponential moving average. And let me just move this out of the way. You can see it's right at the line right here. So this can serve as a point of resistance. Usually the trade likes to take things to the 1.618 golden ratio. It's very curious that we would already be suggested to take the trade here. Okay, so we are facing, let's see, an average 7.5 days, and it's been like 1. Okay, so the average duration is very important for us to take into account. And another thing that I wanted to show you within the stochastics is that we are reversing, or we're now pivoted towards the upside from, let's see, yeah, from the what could be, yeah, this is the third lowest read that we've had in the entire trading history of FFIE. This would be the number 1 lowest, and this would be the number 2. So historically, we are on a pretty good place for a reversal. So this could actually present some pretty good bullish price action in the coming days. I also would rather have the FOMC minutes resolved before this can make its upside move, because that can present an extreme amount of volatility. So now let's go ahead and look at the immediate short-term time frame for bias. But first, we're going to look at the 12-hour RSI. So the 12-hour RSI has confirmed 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Let's just make sure we do have 4, because I thought it was 5, but it may be actually before. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 4 drives of bullish divergence. So these were already confirmed with the closure of this candle here. We can be looking at diminishing this number of 4 to about 2, because this price action here, this candle closure of the 12, is still imminent. So as soon as we close this candle, if it does close at this point, we can see that this, and this can still be considered our drives of bullish divergence. In fact, it would cancel. Let's just go ahead and draw it in. We're going to go ahead and cancel out this one because it's below it. This one also because it's below it. And this one too because it's below this RSI signal. So actually we would be essentially doing this. It would be 2 drives of bullish divergence with the confirmation or the closure of this candle here. So we can this one too. Let's just look at that price action. Yep, this one can be another one as well, and which is connected to right over here. This is connected here to this candle, and we would essentially be making it with the closure of this one at this point right here. So yeah, we would be looking at 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish divergence, and we are looking at an upside trend here. So this is very likely for us to find some upside. That is if we don't continue to the downside, but we're going to go ahead and verify that now. Let's open up a multi-pane of RSI profiles here so that we can be able to gauge our immediate short-term versus medium-term movement. So let's just maximize these windows right over here. I also made a diagram for the new, let me close this out, or actually I'm going to push it to my other screen. Okay, so I made a diagram here for the newer viewers, in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Within the RSI properties, this is my RSI here. I just blew it up so that you can be able to see particularly the zones. So follow along. Okay, so we're looking at the 30-minute here. So let's go ahead and just open up that 30-minute and see what it's got to suggest. It is suggesting a continuation to the downside, and it is very much in the grips of the bear strength percentile. So we can be looking at an immediate short-term sell-off. And now if we're looking at the price action, that sell-off could actually be to retest this support once again, or find support at the 2-fib 3066. There is that potential, and I mean, if we do face a heavy sell-off, the most important area to look at would be right at this trend line here that I'm going to draw. Would be at the 2.618 at 2712. Excuse me, and that would essentially just make us like what Wyckoff theory calls as a terminal shakeout or spring. So we can fail the support and then reclaim it. Just like all these iterations have happened, right? So it's normal for us to do that, except that, we are in a just price discovery to the downside. So we do have to watch our longs in this situation. So let's go ahead and go back now to the bi-hourly. Let's look at the 2-hour time frame here and see what it has to offer. Okay, so this is already in an oversold percentile. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a trend line from where we're currently at and take a look at historically to see how many times we reverse from that area. So we've reversed, 1 and 2 times we've reversed from this exact point. But we are reversing from here. So we are pretty much oversold right now. The likelihood of us reversing soon is there. I mean, we still have some downside suggestions, so we do have to honor that. Okay, now let's go ahead into a larger time frame and look at the 6 hour. The 6 hour is also an oversold, and it is suggesting a continuation to the downside. The moving average is also suggesting a downside move as well. So now the larger term time frame, we already saw the 12 hour, so let's look at the daily. The daily is also suggesting a continuation onto the downside. So tomorrow may likely be red for FFIE. So we may see some up and down movement, but this would likely have us turn this into more red bars. We are looking at this in the 4 hour, and this is definitely corrective. But in realizing all of the oversold percentile here, we could very likely see a downside to 30. I would give us a range here because this one's very difficult to guess. Okay, this is tough. This is a tough chart. This would be essentially my range for support for tomorrow. Yeah, between 27.12 and 30.66 could be an area of demand for us to be able to go long. Okay, so this could likely be it for tomorrow. But I guess tomorrow's going to just tell us what it is going to tell us. But I hope this helps, and I think this is a pretty good place for me to leave off the video. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me on Discord, on Twitter. I'll make sure to answer the questions as fast as I can. There are a lot of people asking, so I'll try to get to you as fast as I could. Okay, but with that said, I wish you a good night, and I will catch you at the Bell Mañana. Adios.